يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. السلام عليك يا وارث آدم صفوة الله. السلام عليك يا وارث نوح نبي الله. السلام عليك يا وارث إبراهيم خليل الله. السلام عليك يا وارث موسى كليم الله. السلام عليك يا وارث عيسى روح الله. السلام عليك يا وارث محمد حبيب الله. السلام عليك يا وارث أمير المؤمنين ولي الله. السلام عليك يا ابن محمد المصطفى. السلام عليك يا ابن علي المرتضى. السلام عليك يا ابن فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا ابن خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا ثار الله وابن ثاره والوتر الموتور. أشهد أنك قد أقمت الصلاة وآتيت الزكاة وأمرت بالمعروف ونهيت عن المنكر وأطعت الله ورسوله حتى أتاك اليقين. فلعن الله أمة قتلت ولعن الله أمة ظلمت ولعن الله أمة سمعت بذلك فرضيت به. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، أشهد أنك كنت نورا في الأصلاب الشامخة والأرحام المطهرة. لم تنجسك الجاهلية بأنجاسها ولم تلبسك من مدلهمات ثيابها. وأشهد أنك من دعائم الدين وأركان المؤمنين. وأشهد أنك الإمام البر التقي الرضي الهادي المهدي. وأشهد أن الأئمة من ولدك كلمة التقوى وأعلام الهدى والعروة الوثقى والحجة على أهل الدنيا. وأشهد الله وملائكته وأنبياءه ورسله أني بكم مؤمن وبإيابكم موقن بشرائع ديني وخواتيم عملي وقلبي لقلبكم سين وأمري لأمركم متبع. صلوات الله عليكم وعلى أرواحكم وعلى أجسادكم وعلى أجسامكم وعلى شاهدكم وعلى غائبكم وعلى ظاهركم وعلى باطنكم. بأبي أنت وأمي يا ابن رسول الله. بأبي أنت وأمي يا أبا عبد الله. لقد عظمت الرزية وجلت المصيبة بك علينا وعلى جميع أهل السماوات والأرض. فلعن الله أمة أسرجت وألجمت وتهيأت لقتالك. يا مولاي يا أبا عبد الله، قصدت حرمك وأتيت إلى مشهدك. أسأل الله بالشأن الذي لك عنده وبالمحل الذي لك لديه أن يصلي على محمد وآل محمد وأن يجعلني معكم في الدنيا والآخرة. صلوات.
second salawat for the love of Hassan and Hussein. And the third salawat for the love of Fatima and Zahra with the loudest of your voices.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد ولا حول ولا قوة إلا بالله العلي العظيم حسبنا الله ونعم الوكيل ونعم المولى ونعم النصير والصلاة والسلام وتحية الكرام على رسول المسدد المصطفى الأمجد المحمود الأحمد الذي سمي في السماء بأحمد وفي الأرض بأبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على محمد وعلى أهل بيت الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين المظلومين المنتجبين الذين أذهب الله عنهم الرجس وطهرهم تطهيرا. أما بعد الله تبارك وتعالى يا الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الدين عند الله الإسلام زينوا مجالسكم بالصلوات على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. My dear respected brothers and sisters in Iman, Assalamu alaikum jami'an wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. What do you believe? What do you believe and how powerful is that belief? Keep that question in the back of your mind. We're told there is a moment in time, a moment in history, where there is a man who is beginning to eat. And when he's beginning to eat, he is beginning to eat a piece of bread, a piece of barley bread, which has become very hard. And at that moment when he is trying to struggle to break this, he's not able to break it with his hands, rather he takes it towards his knees to try to break this piece of bread with the knee. At that moment, we're told that someone comments and says, that is this the same person who lifted the gate of Khaybar with his bare hands? That now he is struggling to break a piece of bread that is made of barley. And we're told that this great, immense man says, as he has said it on time and again before, that I did not lift that gate of Khaybar with my physical strength. Nay, rather, no, I lifted it with the strength of my spirit. Khaybar, a battle in which there were 10,000 on the other side, and the Muslims on one side, the other side had a bit of pride, if not arrogance, on their strength. And they had two people in particular who were of immense caliber according to the norms. That is Marhab and Harith, two brothers, who were, people would tremble at their names. And on this side, you had the Muslims, many of whom were petrified, were afraid. But this one man single-handedly conquers Khaybar and lifts this immense gate by himself. And this great man, Amir al-Mu'mineen, says that it was not my physical strength that enabled me to lift this gate. Rather, it was the strength of my spirit, of my ruh. Question for you and I. Is it possible that one's strength of spirit may actually translate into physical strength? Is that possible? This is something that I would like to look at tonight. And I would like to look at what is the power of our beliefs and how strong and how pivotal and how vital they are in our lives and how they can make or break us. We'll look at a number of studies tonight that have found that in fact the power of our beliefs may be much more than we actually anticipate and think of in our own lives. And we'll try to relate that, inshallah, to what Islam sought for you and I as believers, and how this ties in with the message of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. So without any further ado, last night, briefly, we discussed the concept of goals. If you want to succeed in any aspect or in any endeavor in life, one must put down their goals. You must write them down. You must strive towards that end. And according to our scholars, for example, the likes of Sayyid Ali al-Hakim and other scholars, they've said the ultimate goal of Islam is unequivocally the following. The ultimate goal of Islam is the pursuit of excellence for each and every one of its adherents. For each and every person who is adhering to Islam, the ultimate goal for that individual is to pursue excellence. Sallallahu alaihi Muhammad. Is to pursue excellence in every aspect of their respective lives. It's very interesting, the pursuit of excellence. Not excellence in itself, but rather the pursuit. You know, sometimes we listen to the media and we get certain narratives. Narratives that may not be true, or some of them may be true. It's up to us to do our research and actually understand what's the reality. You'll notice that my style last night, this night, and in the subsequent nights will be a bit different. And what's my methodology behind this? Before, and I should share this with you, before the start of the respected sorrowful nights of Muharram, the respected scholars typically give out a statement with respect to what people who are doing tabligh for the religion should focus upon. And I've been focusing on a particular statement that has come in different forms from our scholars in different terms, but time and time again this statement comes forward. And the statement particularly that stuck out to me that has been in subsequent years is the statement from Sayyid Ali Sistani, may Allah protect him, where he says that one of the goals of the people who are speaking from the Husseini pulpit is to ensure that they dispel and remove doubts. And they dispel and remove doubts in a way that is convincing with solid and rigorous proofs. Now, and he says, of course, with focus on the Quran and focus on the teaching of the Ahlul Bayt, but in addition to that, dispelling doubts. Now, like you, myself, growing up in the West, going through university, going through college, going through high school, the way that you try to communicate Islam to others will not be the same way that you try to communicate Islam within the masjid, within the mosque. Because the people within the masjid, the people within the mosque already believe and agree that the Quran is the word of God. They already believe and they already accept, for example, that the Ahlul Bayt alayhi salam's word is the true hujjah, is the proof of Allah on earth. And therefore, when they look for dialogue outside of these walls, they begin to ask questions. And those questions are, for example, well, how do you know God exists? I say, well, the Quran says so. My classmate, my colleague at work, somebody I meet down the street, well, they may say, I don't believe in that. You believe in that? Okay, I respect your view, but I don't. And so they're looking for other proofs, and sometimes youth come to me and they say, for example, that, well, I don't know what to say anymore. And then they start to question, well, is this really, then how do I prove this? So tonight and in the subsequent nights, I want to give decisive proofs, inshallah, to you and I, on why Islam is the true religion, why the Quran is the word of God, why there is one true God. Scientific proofs, evidences, inshallah. And it's all in the light of what the respective Maraji have said, dispelling doubts with convincing proofs and convincing evidences. That's what we're hoping to accomplish tonight. To give that message to you so you can take that home, and not only share that at home, but share that with your colleagues, your classmates, and somebody that you meet down the street. Because there's good people out there, just like there are in here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has been totally just in his approach. The adalah of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that the fitrah of the insan, of the human being, is innately good. We believe in innate goodness of human beings, not innate evil. So the pursuit of excellence is the goal of Islam. You know, pursuit is a very interesting word. You sometimes hear the media may tell you, for example, that, you know, this religion, Islam, may have some downsides, some negative aspects. You know, when you go to Washington, D.C. in the United States, the capital of the United States of America, you have the Library of Congress. The Library of Congress is the largest library in the world. In this library, there's a lot of artwork. And when you go across there and you walk in, you'll see many murals and many artistic renditions on the walls and on the rooftop. In the middle, you'll go and you'll see that there's a very nice mural that's there on the top, and it has certain things that they say, the tour guide will tell you, these are the things that gave rise to the Constitution of the United States of America. And so at the top it'll say ancient Greece, ancient Rome, it'll say Christianity, and still till this day when you look at the top, you'll see written there Islam. And many people ask the question, well, why is Islam there? I thought Islam is a barbaric religion. I thought Islam was a religion that is out to harm people. I thought Islam is a religion that's out to get us. Why does it say Islam up there? And many times the tour guide will say Islam, not because of its religion, but because of its arts and sciences, had a tremendous impact on the Declaration of Independence. And in any event, the question that comes naturally to one's mind is that, hold on, just 1 second. If it was actually because of arts and sciences, why didn't it say Arabia? Why didn't it say Persia? It said Islam for a particular reason. And you and I must ask that question. You know, Thomas Jefferson actually possessed a Quran. Many times you won't hear that. And there was a debate that happened very early on in the history of America about whether a Muslim could actually be the president of the United States of America. And the conclusion of that debate was actually, in fact, the president could be Muslim. There was no obligation in that. There was no objection in that, I apologize. So the point that I'm getting at today, the power of your beliefs. Imam Amir al-Mu'mineen said that I lifted Khaybar not by my physical strength, although he was very strong. He said, I truly lifted it through the power of my spirit, the power of my ruh. Now, question. Is it possible that someone's beliefs can have an impact on their physiology, on their physical nature? And indeed, I will share a number of studies with you. There was a study that was conducted at Harvard University by a set of psychologists. In this study, they wanted to see that do beliefs actually have a physical impact on someone. And they conducted this study on a group of housekeepers, or maids, if you will, in a hotel. 84 subjects in 7 different hotels. And what they did was they had a control group, that is a group that was not affected, and then they had another group in which they told these people that the physical work that you do every day, for example, the making of the bed, for example, walking up and down the flights of stairs, for example, doing X, Y, and Z, the work that somebody would do who's doing housekeeping in a hotel, that physical work that you do, it actually is in line with what the US Surgeon General actually recommends in terms of physical activity. And so they said that you are actually doing physical exercise every single day. Now, before this study, they asked all these people, they said that, hold on, do you consider what you do at work as exercise? And they all said no. So now we have 2 groups. One group, normal, the same belief as before, which is, you know, I'm not doing any exercise. And this other group that has been told that when you actually work and you walk up these flights and stairs and walk down, you change the sheets, all of these things, you're actually doing physical exercise. And they showed them physical diagrams about how their movements corresponded with particular exercises. After 4 weeks, after 1 month's time, they tallied their biometrics, and they looked at their statistics, biostatistics. You should get used to statistics with me. I come from a statistics background. I will be sharing a lot of those in the next few minutes. So 4 weeks, they looked at the numbers. They found that the people who actually were told that physical exercise is being done by them, over 4 weeks, they had not changed anything in their lives, except they now had a belief that they're actually doing physical work, physical exercise every single day. They found that those people who believed this, they lost weight, they had lower blood pressure, they had lower body fat percentages, lower BMIs. Nothing had changed. 4 months, or 4 weeks, 4 weeks, 1 month. You may begin to say, well, maybe that's a coincidence. Another study. This was conducted in 1994, then redone in 2002. There was an orthopedic surgeon who was actually doing surgeries, and he was beginning to do surgeries on the knees. And he had about 10 patients. 8 of them, he said that, you know what, I want to see if this surgery that we're doing on their knees is actually orthoscopic surgery. Is it actually effective or not? And so right before he got to the surgery table, he said, I want to know right before I do the surgery whether or not there's actually which patient's which. I don't want to know before because that may cause a bias in my judgment. So he said, right when I get to the table, then tell me which patient is which. He didn't know. And so 2 patients got the proper surgery that they were supposed to get, the orthoscopic surgery. 8 of them did not get any surgery whatsoever. However, in those 8 patients, he still put the incisions. So he did the cuts, 3 cuts, in order to open the knee, but he didn't do any work underneath the skin. So every patient thought that they actually got some physical treatment, but only 2 got it, 8 of them didn't get it. Over time, every single patient reported that they had improvement in their health, in their knee movements, and everything in that regard. Again, the study was done in 2002 with 180 different patients and found the same results. Your beliefs have a tremendous impact on who you become, physically, mentally, emotionally. Now it makes sense why our scholars emphasize to such a high degree on the concept of aqaid, or creed, or aqidah, or beliefs. They say that every single thing begins with what you and I believe. Our beliefs create who we are. If you remember the example from last night, we talked about where I come from, you have hurricanes that blow away trees very easily. And many times these are very tall trees. And they get swept away by the wind. Why? Because their roots aren't going very deep into the ground. And then you see these shorter trees that stay put, nothing happens to them, and you come to find out that their roots are extremely strong. My dear brothers and sisters, the message that I want you and I to take home tonight is to understand how powerful our beliefs are, and how much they govern every aspect of our lives. Excuse me. If you truly believe, and I told you, belief is a concept, if you remember from last night, it's not something that you can do taqleed on. Belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in tawheed of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the adala of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, day of judgment, these aspects of nubuwwah, imam, you cannot say that I believe in Sayyid Sistani or say whichever your marja is, whoever it may be. You can't push that burden to them. You have to own that yourself. And each person is accountable for that. Yes, in those aspects of the practices, that is the salah, the sawm, in those aspects, yes, we refer to the respected scholar and scholars on those aspects. And it's very important to do so. Now, you may say, why do I have to follow someone in those aspects? Well, Islam is extremely fair. You have the complete right to be able to become a scholar yourself, if you're willing to put in that time and effort and that work. We should be very thankful to our respected scholars. They remove a tremendous burden from our shoulders by taking that burden upon their own shoulders. That we are allowed to be muqallids of them. We are allowed to be people who imitate them and follow them in that regard. But the question that remains is, what do you and I believe? In the subsequent nights, we're going to talk about the proof of God, inshallah. We're going to talk about the proof of the existence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Why we need religion in the 21st century? What happens if you don't have religion? What chaos occurs? We'll talk about all of that. And I want you to keep in mind, because this lecture and the subsequent one of the previous night aligns towards that. If we don't have strong belief systems, we begin to suffer. You want more proof? I'll give you further proof. Many times, we think that what the Ahlul Bayt may have said, for example, it sounds great, but is this really true? Is this really reality? Is this really the essence of everything? We look for external proofs. I'm telling you, if you truly have ma'rifah, and I invite myself first and foremost to try to gain this understanding, you will find the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam were the most upright. How many of you have heard of the Pygmalion effect? Anyone show of hands? The Pygmalion effect? Interesting. So I'll share that with you. The Pygmalion effect occurred, it happened one time, that there was a researcher by the name of Robert Rosenthal at at Harvard University. And he came into his research lab one night, and they had, as you know, they do a lot of research on lab rats, if you will. Because the genome of a rat is, they say, similar to a human being by 99.9%, or X amount. So what he did was he labeled all the cages of all the different lab rats with one of two labels. On one of the set of them, he wrote, very smart. And he put a label there on several of them. And then he put a label that said very dumb, or very unsmart. And he put them on each one, all throughout, scattered in a random phase, in a random environment. So he put on these rats, he put very smart, very dumb. The next day he invited in his team of researchers, and he assigned them rats that were either very smart or that were not so smart. And he said, this is your task. Your task as researchers is to have the rat go through this maze, if you understand a maze, go through the maze and clock the time that it took for them to go through this maze. Clock the time. At the end of these trials and these studies, they found that those rats that had been labeled very smart compared to those that were not so smart, the ones that were very smart finished the maze 2 times faster than the others. Twice as fast. 2 times faster. The kicker was, they were all average rats. There was no difference in them. They were all North Dakotan rats. There was no differentiation. So he was shocked. He said, what caused this difference? Why this 2-fold difference, 100% increase in speed, twice the speed? He was shocked. So this led him to another study that he conducted on a group of students, human beings, on a group of students. They came into a school and they gave an exam that was a very average basic exam. It was not testing for anything in particular. It was an average basic exam. But they thought, and they didn't tell anyone this, the people in the school and the administrators and the teachers all thought because this was a test coming from Harvard, it must be a very special test. And then they told the teachers in each, there are some students in your class, and they gave them the names, there are some students in your class that are gifted and talented students. These are students that have exceptional intelligence. And they told the teachers, please do not tell anyone about this. The Pygmalion effect, keep that in mind. Pygmalion, the name comes from a play that was written by George Bernard Shaw called The Pygmalion Effect, or The Pygmalion. George Bernard Shaw, you may know him better than I do. He's one of the founders of LSE, London School of Economics. He's somebody who was a playwright. They cite him after Shakespeare as the best British playwright. He's also an individual who studied and admired the Holy Prophet of Islam extensively. He said that I believe that the future of England, nay, the future of Europe, if there's a religion that is going to dominate or that can rule Europe, it's Islam in the next 100 years. He said that I've studied the man, and far from being the Antichrist, he should be hailed as the savior of humanity, referring to Rasulullah. This George Bernard Shaw wrote this play, and based on this play, what happens in the play, there is a lady who is not of the best background, and she is put into an environment of very sophisticated aristocratic people, and then she becomes part of that. And so coming back to the study, the teachers are given this list in their classroom of students who are gifted and talented, but they are told, don't ever tell the student that they're gifted and talented. We just told you this. And so they said, but they told the teachers that in 1 year's time, these students are very likely to have excellent results and excel compared to other students. So as this happened, they noticed that over 1 year's time, those students, in fact, had substantially better grades and marks compared to their classmates. Now, the kicker was, they were average students. They were not exceptional students. They were run-of-the-mill general students. The question is, what happened? the power of belief. What you believe can not only have a tremendous impact on you as an individual, what you believe can actually have a tremendous impact on other people. Your beliefs, not only have a tremendous impact on you as an individual, they have a tremendous impact on others. They said, whether it was the North Dakotan rats or it was these students, the Pygmalion effect actually tells us and indicates that what those researchers who were actually studying those rats, their beliefs, what impact they had on rats, and also the beliefs of the teachers with respect to the students, those beliefs created the success in those particular individuals. They said that those teachers, when they interacted with students who they believed were superior, who they believed were better educated, were more talented, they would, for example, create a more warm and welcoming environment for them, number one. They said the climate that those teachers created for the gifted students was more warm and welcoming. Whereas the other students, they may pass by and not expect too much from them. Those students that were gifted, they would give them time and warmth. The other thing that they said was response time. The teachers, subconsciously, they had a bias towards giving those special gifted students more time. They gave them more time to answer, and they would give them longer response time. They would give them more attention. And further down the line, they found that they would give one after the other subconscious bias towards those students to give them a more nurturing environment. The point being, when you and I believe, when we are convinced about the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we are convinced about the justice of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when we are convinced about the Day of Judgment, when we are convinced about Nabuwah, when we are convinced about prophethood, when we are convinced about imamat, that will show in our actions. This reality that exists of our world, and I get asked this everywhere, whether it's Canada, the US, or here, every time. You know, there's so many things that are vying for our attention in the modern era. We have work, we have school, we have our social friends, we have Instagram, we have Twitter, we have Snapchat, X, Y, and Z. All these things vying for our attention. How many of you have gone down the spiral of social media? One video leads to, you know, there's a very interesting book I recommend all of you read. It's called Hooked. And it actually talks about how products in Silicon Valley are created to make them as addictive as possible for you. That they're actually designed for you to never leave the platform. That they're modeled after the same effects of chocolate or drugs that they have on an individual. And there's so many things that are vying for our attention. Yet we seemingly don't have time to make for our religion, for our deen, for Islam. And I want to share with you as I begin to wrap up tonight that these beliefs many times were abused by people in history. Sometimes they were used for good, sometimes they were not used for good. For example, how can someone get to an era in a time where they begin to say that Imam al-Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, when he was going towards Karbala, and his combat or his conflict with Yazid was actually a battle between two princes, or this was a battle between two people who had a lust for power? How can someone say something like this? When historians throughout Islam have always said that the reality is that Imam al-Hussein was right. You know what happened was they reverse engineered the belief system. How do you think someone will interact in their lives day to day if they believe that everything in your life is free will? If you believe that every accomplishment in your life is free will, that I have the choice to choose what I do, what kind of life will you live? Versus someone who has the belief that everything that I do in my life is predestined. If someone has the belief that everything that I do in my life has been already decided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala or some other entity, what do you think how are they going to live their lives? Whereas the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam gave us a very clear answer. The answer was al-amr bayna al-amrayn, that it is actually a matter between the two matters. That some aspects of your life, they may be predestined. Other aspects of your life, no, you have complete control over them. But it is upon us to strive It is upon us to work and work hard. But what happened was, after the tragedy and the calamity of Karbala, the Umayyad dynasties, they began to reverse engineer a belief. And that belief was, they began to tell the people, because they had many scholars on their payroll, they began to tell them that we want you to tell the masses that everything in life is predestined, predetermined. It's already been established. And you can relate to many books, for example, Khilafa wal-Mulukiyya by Abu al-Ala Mawdudi and other scholars that talk about this. We're not Shia scholars, by the way. They're scholars of Ahl Sunnah, where they say that up to the Khilafah, this is Ahl Sunnah brothers saying this, that up to the Khilafah of Ali ibn Abi Talib, this was Khilafah. But after his passing, we saw in Islam came this concept of Mulukiyya, or kingdoms, which was never an Islamic principle. And so what these Umayyad rulers began to tell the scholars, we want you to tell everyone that everything is predestined, predetermined. And because everything's predestined, predetermined, that means that the Khalifa who is in power right now is actually been destined by God to be the Khalifa, has been destined by Allah to be the Khalifa. Point number two. Point number three, then they would begin to say that if you actually revolt against the ruler, revolt against the Khalifa of Allah on earth, therefore you are revolting against the will of Allah, and therefore you are to be killed. This is the type of misrepresentation and misbeliefs that they began to tell people so that they would believe. And this is what kept them in power. Imam al-Hussein alayhi afdal salatu wasalam, his message, his mission, it was not something that was easy, it was something that required immense struggle. Sometimes we feel that when we are told from the minbar or the pulpit, for example, that we should accept the will of Allah, and that is very important. We think that the will of Allah equates to not doing any work. And that couldn't be farther from the truth. If that was the truth, then why would Imam Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, why would he take his entire family with him? Why would he struggle to such an extent? Why would he go out of his way to go through such sacrifice to give his most dearest one, his most loved one? Why? Simply he did this so you and I in the 21st century can believe. Islam was on its way to a crash course off a cliff. It was going down. Those things that Rasulullah had made halal were becoming haram, and those that he had made haram were becoming halal. And this is where the respected Imam said that I must take action, even if it costs me everything. My dear brothers and sisters, when Imam Hussein alayhi salam was in his beloved city of Medina, the city that he did not want to leave, he loved the city of Medina. He loved this city. This was his home. Imagine, you grow up in a particular town, you grow up in a particular city, you know everyone there, your friends are there, your relatives are there, your classmates are there, your colleagues are there, and you leave that? That's not easy. I ask one of you who's lived here in London your whole life to get up and leave for another country. Forget another country, another city across the way. It's not easy. Imam al-Hussein alayhi salatu wasalam, he gets up in the middle of the night, and we are told he proceeds towards certain graves. And he begins to proceed, we are told he proceeds towards the grave of his mother, Fatima Zahra. And he begins to weep and wail in the night on the grave of his mother. His mother, who was afflicted and she was treated in the worst ways, not only in this world, but even after her. That her grave could not be made known. You and I, when we want to go to the graves of our loved ones, we go with flowers, we go with candles, we go with ornaments. This is our loved one. Imagine the tragedy and the calamity of Fatima Zahra. That they could not even do this to her blessed grave because somebody would know where she was buried and they would desecrate the grave. Allah knows what Imam Hussein alayhi said at that moment to his mother, who was so close to him. That dialogue that occurred, we are told that he got up at a moment and he began to proceed towards the grave of his blessed grandfather Rasulullah. When he got to the grave of his grandfather, Rasulullah, he began to wail and he began to weep. He said, my grandfather, take me in with you. I don't want to leave the city. This was the heart of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam that was burning to stay with his grandfather Rasulullah. That was burning to stay in Medina, but he knew that his goal, his beliefs told him that his goal required him to leave Medina, to go towards Mecca, and then to proceed towards the holy land of Karbala. This was the destiny of Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam as he stands by the grave of his blessed grandfather.
ضمني عندك يا جداه في هذا الضريح علني يا جد من بلوى زماني استريح ضاق بي يا جد من رحب الفضاء كل فسيح فعسى طود الأسى يندك بين الدكتين. This is Imam Hussein talking to his grandfather Rasulullah, saying, "Oh grandfather, take me with you inside your grave. I do not want to stay in this world anymore." And it's as if Rasulullah answers him. He says to him, "You will taste death. You will taste death, O grandson Hussein. You will taste death thirsty. You will taste death thirsty on the plains of Karbala. Your head will be cut off. ستذوق الموت ظلما ضاميا في كربلاء وستبقى في ثراها عاريا مندجلا وكأني بلئيم الأصل شمر قد علا صدرك الطاير بالسيف يحز الودجن قلة روح وتنذبح يا حسين عطشان وتبقى على الأرض مطروح عريان يظل جسمك يظل جسمك الصد الخيل ميدان يا ولا تبقى من ضلوعك بقية. Oh grandson Hussein, your chest, horses will start running over it. There will be no bones left on your chest. Hussein then gets ready for his farewell. He gathers his family. Everyone is gathered. But there is one lady who is left in the city of Medina. Fatima, the daughter of Imam Hussein, left all alone because she was ill. She says to him, "Father Hussein, please take me with you, because after you I will go blind alone. Do not leave me in this city. Do not leave me alone in this city as I am ill and I have no one to care for me." يا حسين وياكم خذوني عقبكم يا هلي يعمل عيوني وحدي بهالوطن لا تخلوني عليلة والجسم يلضم بالسم. Hussein replies, he says to her, "You are so ill that you cannot carry yourself. I cannot take you. Our journey is too long for you. We will be going through trouble in our journey. نادى الحسين ودمعته تسيل يا بعد اهلي سفرنا دربه طويل يا ابوي انت علي لو جسمك حيل وعلى المثلك يا ابوي السفر يحرم أجركم الله ذي لفت مكة فاطمة العليلة she walks back into the house. Many of you have family members who went out on holidays, but you know that they will return. You know when their return flight is? Fatima al-Alila walks into the house. She walks into the room of Hussein, the room of Zainab, the room of Abbas, not knowing when they will come back. Ajarakumullah, she stayed in this state for many weeks. She doesn't know who is there. The poet describes her standing by the doorstep and asking people who is ready to take a letter to Hussein. تقل وين الذي ياخذ لي كتاب يا فيه البواج وفيه العتاب للخلايا عيوني على الباب ما علي وداو شنو الاسباب. اجركم الله. While you are in your seats inshallah with your hands on your chest, you can hold me 5 minutes. I won't take much of your time, inshallah. Father Hussein, how can you leave me alone in this city? Leaving me with my tears and grief all alone in this city. Father Hussein, how can you leave me alone in this city? Leaving me with my tears and grief all alone in this city. Hussein, Hussein, Ya Hussein, 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 Hussein, Hussein. With Fatima al-Alila, barakallah bik. Whoever has a will, whoever has a wish, Fatima al-Alila, she is there to grant your hawaij, inshallah. So with her, call out to her father. Hussein, Hussein, Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein. I am like a nightingale singing alone for your return. Oh my beloved father Hussein, for your hugs I had. All I wanted was you to take me with you to Karbala. So the pleasure of placing your prayer mat, Father, I am Hussein, Hussein, Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein. Father, if only I came with you, I would have helped you stop Shabeer from placing his dagger upon your holy neck. Father, was it not better you take me with you so I can wash your hair and bathe with my hands while they're drenched in your blood? Hussein, Hussein, Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein. Father, take me with you, let me sit on your back all the way. So if anyone approaches you, I can scare them away. Father, how is it Pharaoh goes and I stay here? Father, I want to be there to stop them from ripping her ear. Hussein, Hussein, Ya Hussein, Hussein, Hussein.
Hussein, Hussein, Ya Hussein,
Hussein, Hussein,
Ya Hussein.
When her face becomes so bruised up like the face of your mother, I want to be the one that's sitting beside her, aiding her. Beloved father, why don't you leave Abdullah with me? I don't understand why you want to see his neck severed. Beloved father, why don't you leave Ali Akbar with me? I don't understand why you want to see him in pieces. They call me an orphan father. I ask you what that is. Is everyone whose father troubles labeled like this? Hussein, Hussein, Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein, Hussein, Hussein.
Ya Hussein, Hussein, Hussein,
Ya Hussein, beloved father, why don't you leave Ali Akbar with me? I don't understand why you want to see him in pieces. They call me an orphan father. I ask you what that is. Is everyone his father troubles labeled like this? Allahumma inna nas'aluka wa nad'uka يا حب الخلق إليك بفاطمة وأبيها وبعلها وبنيها والسر المستودع فيها يا الله. اللهم من كان له حاجة اللهم اقضها بحق فاطمة العليلة يا الله. اللهم من كان مريضا اللهم شافه وعافه بحق زين العابدين مريض كربلاء. اللهم عجل لوليك الفرج. اللهم كن لوليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوعا وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. وإلى أرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات أرواح الحاضرين أرواح أموات الحاضرين المؤسسين رحم الله من قرأ سورة الفاتحة مسبوقة بالصلوات.